So first step is going to be taking these little sensors out, undo the boot, and on the airbox you have 4 bolts, one on every corner, Torx bolts. So once all the bolts are loose, you got to come over here to this little accordion looking thing. You're going to take a flathead and just push it on the edge, push it back, that way you can pull the box out. This is like the most important thing, is we started off with the airbox, that way we can soak these up early, so by the time you take off the bumper these have been soaked for a while. Put a lot. If you don't do this, man, super hard to take off. You have 2 Torx here we have to take off. After that, we'll jack up the back wheels and take off the fender liners. So now that these 2 are out, he's loosening up the wheels. There is also these little Torx inside the back grill that we got to take out. It's maybe like 10 of them. So once the grill is off, you got this one, this one, this one, that one, and take the wheel off. You have the real obvious fender liner bolts, some over here. You could just take off the back half, you don't need to do the whole front. So you have like 10 bolts. The ones on the outer edge are smaller. These are T30s. Then you have a random bigger one up here. Alright, so once the fender liner is gone, you have this one right here, T30, and this one that's a 10 millimeter. Also, you'll be able to reach the side bumper bolts. That's a Torx, or no, it's a 10 millimeter also. So we'll start with this one. That's how I keep track. I just leave them here. What you could do too is pull this line off. This one's to the valves, and what you're going to end up doing in the end is using the vacuum caps and just cover this up. If not, you're going to get a check engine light. One thing that's left on the back bumper is underneath you have a couple of Torx bolts for the diffuser. Maybe like 4, not that many. Might be hard to see. That right here looks like T30s. After that, the bumper should come off pretty easy. I always just leave them there where they go. Easy to remember. So now we're going to put this down because it's a 2-person job to take the bumper off. Well, next thing, you got to take this beam off. You have 2 bolts right here, 2 up here. Same thing on the other side, comes right off. You also have some T30 bolts at the bottom, right here, holding the heat shield to the beam. Alright, once the beam is off, it's kind of hard to see, but you have the top hanger All you gotta do is take that bolt off. I think it's like a 16. Both sides. Only the top one, not the bottom mount.
It's a 16.
So next thing is undo this bolt that's here, right there. And I'm gonna take a flathead with a hammer and give the flange a little bump. Hopefully it just pops right off. See, this one over here is already loose. Came right off. Alright, now that both of the clamps are off, the next thing is, where's it at? The bottom hanger bolt. You can see it with the orange piece right there. This one right here. After that, the exhaust is ready to come out. So what we ended up doing is also taking off the center panel. We loosened these up. That way it doesn't get caught up in the big heat shield. So there it goes. Next step is take this whole thing off. The spring, the clip, the big washer, and then start taking off all these little Torx to break this thing apart into 3 pieces. Alright, heat shield's off. Next thing is get a flathead in here and just pry that thing out. Pry it around. And heat shield comes off. After that, we're just going to reattach both pieces of the heat shield. But here's what it's looking like right now. And factory muffler. The factory one and the new titanium. One hand. Just so you see the lightness. That one I think is like 60 and this one is 5 pounds. That's kind of what it looks like without the heat shield on. We are going to put it on, but just so we have an idea what goes on underneath. Way smaller, so way more airflow, less weight. So exhaust is in, just retighten the clamps. Just snug, not too crazy because that bolt will break, and that clamp is $250. That's all on. Clamps are all snug. We're going to put the beam on. That way we can line up this heat shield, make sure it's all in the right spot. Alright, once the beam is on, you got the little vacuum cap that goes right there. And this is how the factory bolt goes. You reuse the spacer, use the new washers and the new nut. Here's something that's super important. You have this vertical slot. Make sure that the exhaust is lined up correctly up and down. If it's too low, you can burn up the plastic diffuser. So bumper just pops right back on. We have the corner 10mm bolt. Then we gotta start putting the grill back on. Don't forget, these, they go to this little bracket, goes first before the grill. There's that one. Alright, fender liner's on. Wheels on. We didn't put the grill yet because we have to redo some radar wiring. We're gonna leave this loose for now. You put the airbox back on, which was those 4 bolts. Make sure this is lined up correctly. Tighten up the mass airflow and these connections right there. Cold start.